So the day to finally meet my orthopedic surgeon, husband is having a wonderful time maneuvering me around in the wheelchair. And of course, I'm totally apprehensive because I feel like he ain't paying attention. It's going to bump my leg into the door everywhere but the right way. But he got me where I need to get safely. When we finally meet the doctor, is when they take the splint off so that the doctor can see for himself the injury. So again, I said I've had this splint on for about 4 weeks and some change. So by the time he has taken it off, you already know for my profession as a fitness coach, I already know what happens when you go from active to sedentary, atrophy. And I could already tell it in my leg and how I felt that my quad muscle and my calf muscle had started going down just like that, just because I could not move it. So when they cut the splint off and stuff, I was like, ooh, look at my leg. Don't it look beautiful? And it did not. The surgeon had me take x-rays, and by this time my leg was so weak and still had pain that I couldn't even lift it by itself. Like as soon as I would go to lift it, I could feel the pain. And so the nursing staff, all of them were great. They were accommodating and understanding to my comfort, and made a way that when they had to manipulate my ankle to get the best x-rays, they made sure that I was comfortable enough to get them. And so after the x-rays were done, he comes back in and explains the x-rays, and he was like, yes, you broke the ankle as they stated. You have a Weber B fracture. And if I explain this correctly, any medical folks out there can correct me if I'm wrong. So there's Weber A, B, and C. A is below the ankle, the outside of the ankle. Weber B is right above the ankle, and Weber C is a little higher. And so mine was kind of like a diagonal crack or whatever from the force. And he was like, I'm going to highly well, no, he didn't say highly. First thing he said was, I'm going to recommend surgery. And I was like, I don't want surgery. I was like, is there any possibility that it can heal on its own? Because it also clicked while I was in that doctor's office that I had injured my foot being a student athlete in college almost exactly 20 years ago, where I had surgery, had 2 pins put in that are permanent. That way I could try to continue my career in track and field. That's another story for itself. But I do remember there was one point as a student athlete, I had not only had that surgery and it healed, but then I ended up getting 2 other fractures when I started back training, and they allowed those to heal on their own. So that was my reasoning for asking the doctor, could it heal on its own? And then he recorrected himself and he said, I highly recommend that you get this surgery, and here's why. If you allow it to heal on its own, which you could if you chose to, but there's no guarantee that it will reform the proper way, and you may have a higher increase of arthritis in your ankle. Well, he already knew my past experience and my profession and stuff like that, and we both agreed. And I was like, I let's go with the surgery, because when it comes to gait, I need to be able to walk correctly, and I don't want anything that I caused myself because I allowed it to heal on its own, that I am not going to be able to walk correctly, and I don't want to walk with a limp for the rest of my life. And so he was like, surgery is the best choice for you. Now, of course, anytime you hear surgery, you cringe, because there's all sorts of possibilities, whether it's a huge surgery or a small surgery, the things that could occur. So I always kept that in the back of my mind. But he was like, we're going to go ahead and schedule a date for surgery. Until then, I'm going to have you put a splint back on. I was like, the splint. All right, whatever. Let's go ahead and put the splint on. So we scheduled a surgery date. And as I was heading out, they went ahead and put a new splint on me, which felt a little better, but not much. It's still huge, so I feel like I'm lugging around 5 pounds on my leg, and go back home to those new family home dynamics, and still going through the healing process of keeping my foot stabilized. And all the while, after seeing the doctor for the first time, I know that my body is starting to change because I can feel it. And it caused me to think about caregivers, those who care for their loved ones, or even those, in hospice, all those sorts of avenues, those who care for other people. A newfound respect for them, especially when now you have been put in that situation. So I'm being taken care of, but I can definitely observe how those now their lives have changed because they are taking care of a loved one and all the things that they have to do. And for me, I'm thinking about, as a patient and those that are being cared for who cannot move, all of the things that not only are going on in their mind, but the things that are going on with their body. And for me, like I said, anybody who knows me, very active, always up and going. Now I am just about immobilized, and lying down, I could start feeling it in my back, in my hips, everywhere. And what I didn't mention from the emergency room part, while I was waiting for the doctors to come back to explain the x-ray, I had my head down and my hands over my head, and I was rubbing my face just like this, and I came over this huge bump on right over my right eyebrow, and I must have clocked myself when I landed, and it caused this huge bump and bruise that seeped down right up under my eye. So my eye looked black. I had a black eye, and the right side of my body was completely so sore, which made it hard for me to walk with, like the couple days after the incident, to walk with the crutches because I had to put some force into my upper body. But I got to understand, in some sense, what it takes caregivers to put forth in caring for others, and on the other side, those who can't do much for themselves and have to rely on others to take care of them, and the physical changes that they go through when they can't move. And so I want to go into the next part that I observed, which was a huge blessing, is community, and also my mental shift in all of this, what Crystal was thinking throughout this whole time. Check it out.